Syracuse basketball has brought in 6 players from the transfer portal, all with different roles for this upcoming season. But the player with by far and away the biggest role is Naithan George.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in a Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and of course, we are always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's show, we will discuss the role or the projected role of each and every one of Syracuse's 6 transfer portal additions that they have made so far this offseason. We'll talk about players who are just depth, maybe some backups who could see some time in the starting lineup at some point during the season, and also players who will likely be in the starting lineup for most of the year. Now, it should be noted that Syracuse does have 3 open scholarships remaining, so these roles could change. But I don't anticipate them changing too much, and the reason because I don't anticipate that Syracuse basketball at this point in the offseason that they are going to bring in someone significant. Like, look, if they bring in Jameer Watkins from Florida State or they bring in RJ Lewis from St. John's, hey, I'm not going to complain, and you're probably not going to complain either, right? But I just don't see it as realistic at this point. And let's go over the 6 transfers, okay? You got William Kyle, a center from UCLA. You got Kingz, a wing from Oregon State. Naithan George, a point guard from Georgia Tech. Ibrahim Souare, a center from Georgia Tech. Bryce Zephir, a guard from Montana State. And Tyler Betsey, a wing from Cincinnati. Now, before we discuss the roles of each and every one of those players, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Now let's discuss the players who will likely have the biggest roles for Syracuse this upcoming season. These are your big name transfer portal additions, so to speak, that we're about to talk about. Number 1 is Naithan George. Okay, 6'3" point guard, 180 pounds from Georgia Tech. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. He will most likely be Syracuse's starting point guard on opening night and throughout the entirety of the season. And the reason why I say most likely is because the only reason he wouldn't be in the starting lineup is because of injury. Knock on wood, right? That's it. Naithan George last year at Georgia Tech, he averaged over 12 points per game. He had led the ACC with over 6.5 assists per game. This is a really, really good transfer portal addition for Syracuse basketball. But he's not only valuable because of his ability to score, or he kind of has a little bit of a shot to him, career 33% three-point shooter, or his excellent passing ability. It's also the fact that he plays a ton of minutes. Last year, Naithan George averaged nearly 36 minutes per game at Georgia Tech. 36 minutes per game. That's nearly an entire game in college basketball. In college basketball, it's only 40 minutes long. This is not the NBA. 36 of 40 minutes. That's over 90% of game action that Naithan George played a year ago. And he's my pick to lead Syracuse in minutes per game next season. And we'll discuss the depth chart for Syracuse coming up in just a moment. But before that, I want to throw it to you. What do you think? Will Naithan George lead Syracuse basketball in minutes played per game next season? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, I'm going to explain why I believe Naithan George will hold that title this year for Syracuse. Now, it shouldn't come to anyone's surprise that last season, J.J. Starling led the Orange, playing nearly 35 minutes per game. But let's discuss the depth chart, okay? In 2024-25, so this past season, right? Your point guards, I guess on the roster, were Jaquan Carlos and Kyle Cuff, even though Adrian Autry said that he's not really a point guard, referring to Kyle Cuff. And your shooting guards were J.J. Starling, Elijah Chopamore, and Lucas Taylor. So there was a reason that J.J. Starling had to play a lot. And there was also a reason why he had to play a lot of point guard. Because Syracuse didn't really have any good point guards. And aside from Starling at shooting guard, they didn't have any good shooting guards. So there's a reason why he had to play about 35 minutes a game last year. Now you look at this upcoming season, your point guards, or your two top ones, at least on the depth chart, are Naithan George and Luke Fennell. And your shooting guards, your top two, at least right now, are J.J. Starling and Kiyan Anthony. So J.J. Starling is not going to have to play as much point guard as he did a year ago because Naithan George is here. So overall, not only will Naithan George have the biggest role of all of Syracuse's transfers as a scorer and as a distributor, but he's likely going to lead the entire team in minutes played per game next season. And once again, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Now let's get to the transfer who has a very important role for Syracuse this upcoming season. And I'm talking about Nate Kingz, not Nathan Kingz. Nate Kingz, 6'5", 190-pound guard or forward from Oregon State. He's got 1 year of eligibility remaining. As far as his role in the lineup, like where he slots in the depth chart, it's a little bit uncertain because for now, he appears to be the team's starting small forward, a direct replacement to Chris Bell from a year ago when Chris Bell started the year in the starting lineup before falling out of it because he wasn't playing well. That's neither here nor there. But hey, if Kiyan Anthony pops or Tyler Betsey, who we'll talk about in the next segment, if he pops off, then maybe Nate Kingz gets moved to the bench as a weapon for Syracuse basketball. But as far as what his role will be on the court and why he is really important for Syracuse this upcoming year, his role is simple. Shoot. Shoot the ball, Nate Kingz. Because Nate Kingz a year ago at Oregon State shot nearly 45% from the three-point line on over 4 attempts per game. So this is a really, really excellent outside shooter for Syracuse. And why he's really valuable? Think about their projected starting lineup for just a moment and the career three-point percentages, okay? Naithan George, 33% for his career. J.J. Starling, 3 seasons now in college basketball for him. Less than 30% from the three-point line. I am not going to believe J.J. Starling is a good outside shooter until he actually proves that he is a good outside shooter. Because for now, one of his big flaws is that he really can't shoot from beyond the arc. Less than 30% for his entire career. Nate Kingz, I get it's only one Division I year, but over 4 attempts per game, nearly 45% from the three-point line. That's excellent, right? But then you got Donnie Freeman, who you're hoping takes another step in his three-point line, at the three-point line, excuse me. But a year ago, he was 33%, which is pretty good for a power forward, but not exactly elite overall as far as shooting. And then your starting center is probably going to be William Kyle, who we'll talk about in the next segment. 0 for 1 on career three-point attempts. He is not an outside shooter at all. So Syracuse next year, they are going to need Nate Kingz to, I don't think it's necessarily realistic that he converts at 45% from the three-point line next year, but they're going to need him to shoot over 40% from the three-point line if they want to make the NCAA tournament. What do you think? Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you believe that Nate Kingz needs to shoot at least 40% from the three-point line for this team to make the tournament? Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. So those are the two players, Naithan George and Nate Kingz, who will have the biggest roles of all the transfers for Syracuse this upcoming year. Now, coming up, we'll talk about players who their role could expand based on how they play or maybe even shrink based on how they play. That's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And the New York Knicks, my goodness, if you bet the New York Knicks to win against the Boston Celtics this series, well, you're looking pretty good right now. Let's see if they can actually close this out with Game 5. If you're new to FanDuel, well, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and once again, we are discussing the role of each and every one of Syracuse basketball's transfer portal additions this offseason. Now, in the first segment, we talked about Naithan George possibly leading Syracuse in minutes per game next season, and also Nate Kingz, how no matter where he's at in the lineup, he's got one job: shoot the basketball. It's implied at a high rate, too. Okay? Now, in this segment, we are going to talk about a couple of players who really, their role is going to be determined based on performance. Now, you could sit here and say, oh, that's obvious, right? Isn't that pretty much every player, right? It really depends on how you're playing. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but some guys have more leeway than others, right? If Naithan George has a clunker on opening night, or he has a couple of clunkers here and there, his role is not going to change. Same thing with JJ Starling, same thing with Donnie Freeman. But with these players, if they play really well, they're going to see a lot more playing time. If they don't, they're not going to see the floor all that much. And you can make an argument that these are the two most important transfers for Syracuse this upcoming year. And we'll actually discuss tomorrow the most important transfers for Syracuse basketball more in depth, okay? So let's get to William Kyle. A 6'9", 215-pound center from UCLA with 1 year of eligibility remaining. He played his first 2 seasons at South Dakota State, and he played well. At least his box score numbers look pretty good. I mean, he played an average of about 26 minutes per game, started 49 of 67 possible games. He also averaged 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, and nearly 1.5 blocks. But then he transfers to UCLA a year ago, and he played in 32 games, which is good, but he did not start in any of those games, and he only averaged about 10 minutes per game, and obviously his numbers took a nosedive because he just wasn't on the floor a whole lot. Now, I do believe that William Kyle will be Syracuse's starting center, and hopefully he'll be able to provide good rim protection, because that's one thing that he has done consistently well in college basketball is defend the rim. He's got a high block rate. So hopefully he can do that. However, he's not a player that has a long leash, because you have Donnie Freeman, and Syracuse also has a borderline 5-star true freshman coming in Sadiq White, their highest ranked recruit in their recruiting class. Now, we know Donnie Freeman, barring injury, is going to be the team's starting power forward. But if William Kyle is not playing well, okay, if he's not playing well, I could see Donnie Freeman playing a lot more at center and having Sadiq White be the power forward, which would push William Kyle out of the lineup. Now, you may not like the idea of Donnie Freeman playing center, and I don't like it either. I'm not sitting here saying that I think Donnie Freeman is going to be an All-American center. I don't think that's the best position for him. But if William Kyle's out there for 15 minutes per game at the start of the year and he's looking awful, hopefully he doesn't look awful, but you get what I'm trying to say here, then you can't run him out there that much. So what are you going to do if you're Syracuse? What are you going to do if you're Adrian Autry? Well, you're going to probably move Donnie Freeman to the 5, and hopefully Sadiq White is playing really well off the bench, and you'll probably give more playing time to Sadiq White. You can make an argument that William Kyle is Syracuse's most important transfer portal addition. Because if he's really good, in his playing time next year, I don't think he's going to play more than 20 minutes per game. But if he plays really well in his short amount of playing time, then he makes Syracuse much deeper, and hopefully he'll also help them defensively significantly. He's really important. All right, so we'll see what his role is going to be this upcoming year. He will probably start the year as the starting center, though. The next player who kind of has a similar profile, but they're a little bit different, is Tyler Betsey. 6'8", 225-pound forward from Cincinnati with 3 more years of eligibility remaining. This is a former top 50 overall recruit in the 2024 high school class. So very recent that he was a top 50 recruit. But let's be honest. He was not good his true freshman year. Okay, contrary to popular belief, you can believe he's got a lot of potential. I get it. I get a top 50 recruit, right? Obviously, there's some sort of talent there, but his production last year was not very good. He only played about 11 minutes per game at Cincinnati. He averaged 3 points per game, and he was not efficient. 36% from the field, 32% from the three-point line. And when you look deeper and you look at what he did in conference play, it was only 27% from the three-point line. And so for now, he projects as a backup to Nate Kingz off the bench, right? But like I said earlier when discussing Nate Kingz, Tyler Betsey could at one point crack the starting lineup and play a ton of minutes because he does have breakout potential. We have seen players at Syracuse and across all of college basketball kind of struggle in their true freshman years, even if they're a highly ranked recruit. And then they start to find their form in their sophomore year. Sometimes it takes a long time for these players to develop. Actually, you want to think of 2 recent Syracuse examples. They're not perfect players, but I highly suggest you look at their freshman year numbers and their sophomore year numbers and how big of a jump these players took. And I'm talking about Chris Bell and Quadir Copeland. They're actually good examples of players who were not very good as true freshmen, but as sophomores, they took a massive step forward in their development. So if Tyler Betsey has a big sophomore year leap, his role is going to grow tremendously. And ideally, what he would be is another shooter for Syracuse basketball, because in high school, he was known as having a really good outside shot. Now, obviously, we didn't see that his true freshman year as far as the production and the percentages. But who knows? Maybe it just clicks for him this upcoming year and his role will expand. But if it doesn't, he'll just be a backup. He won't play all that much. What do you think? Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. If you believe, or do you believe that Tyler Betsey is going to break out for Syracuse this upcoming year? Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, coming up, we'll talk about a couple of players who really, they're just depth and they're there to fill the roster. That's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making it to this portion of the podcast. We still got a lot to talk about as far as the role of each and every one of the transfer portal additions for Syracuse basketball so far this offseason. But before we do that, since you've made it this far in the podcast, if you could be so kind, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow and reach all Syracuse Orange fans. Now let's discuss the 2 players who really, they're just backups and they're just there to fill the roster. All right. Let's start with someone who I don't think is necessarily a roster filler, but they're more of just they're a backup. Okay. They're just a backup. That's it. Ibrahim Souare, 6'9", 215-pound center from Georgia Tech. He's got 3 more years of eligibility remaining. He's the backup to William Kyle for now at the center spot, okay? He did start at Georgia Tech 14 of 30 games a year ago. However, if he's starting nearly 50% of the games for Syracuse this upcoming season, well, it means one or two things. You want to be optimistic? Let's be optimistic here on this podcast, okay? We can be optimistic. He breaks out. Ibrahim Souare has a breakout year. I mean, he's got 3 more years of eligibility remaining. Stranger things have happened. Players sometimes take a big jump, even if they weren't necessarily highly thought of out of high school. I mean, Jesse Edwards, when he came to Syracuse, was a 3-star player who was not very good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he exploded. He became one of the better centers in the ACC, right? So maybe something like that could happen with Ibrahim Souare. I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm a Syracuse fan. I'm a Syracuse alum. If Ibrahim Souare breaks out, I think that would be awesome for Syracuse this upcoming year. However, the caveat, if he's in the starting lineup a lot next year and he's playing a lot of minutes, well, then multiple things for Syracuse just went horribly wrong. Okay? On Evan Maya, Ibrahim Souare, get this, was the 3rd worst player in the ACC with a minimum of 500 possessions played last season. He had an overall grade of negative 1.25. What does that mean? It means if there are 9 Division I players on the court and Ibrahim Souare is the 10th player, well, the team with Ibrahim Souare on average will be outscored by over a point per 100 possessions against a team of 5 average Division I players. Now, the Evan Maya tool online, it's free. It's not perfect. And for those that want to dive deeper, it's Evan, how you would spell it, Evan, and Maya, Miyya. Okay, it's online. It's a free tool. It's great for analytics. Provides a lot of resources as far as player impact and best lineups for each team. And also individual player grades. Is it a perfect system? No. It can get a little goofy at times, especially when the system spits out that Jaquan Carlos is better than Donnie Freeman. We know that's not true. But it does provide at least some context. Ibrahim Souare being towards the bottom of the ACC, I mean, it kind of matches up based on what you look as far as the box score stats from him, right? So if he breaks out, great. Not necessarily expecting that. He's just a backup to William Kyle. I wouldn't expect many minutes from him this upcoming year. And finally, that leaves us with our 6th and final transfer portal edition. It is Bryce Zephir, a 6'4", 200-pound guard from Montana State. He's got, I believe, 1 more year of eligibility remaining. Now, if you recall back, when this happened, I did a mini podcast and plenty of people were freaking out online about it in the comments section below. I understand. Why is Syracuse going out and getting a guy like Bryce Zephir? He wasn't even good at Montana State. What makes you think he's going to be good here? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Bryce Zephir is going to be good at Syracuse. In fact, I think it's the opposite. The difference, though, the reason why I'm not really freaking out about it is because I don't think he's anything more than a roster filler this upcoming season for Syracuse basketball. Last year, Bryce Zephir at Montana State. Okay, Montana State. He started 15 of 29 games. He only averaged 5 points a game, less than 30% from the 3-point line, and he was also awful defensively, atrocious. So what's the role for Bryce Zephir? What do we expect from him, or what should we expect? I mean, I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you think he's going to actually play significant minutes for Syracuse or important minutes for Syracuse this upcoming year? I want to hear from you in the comments section below. I don't see it. Hopefully he's good in practice. Okay, you need practice squad players. Hopefully he plays in garbage time. You need players to play the entire game, right? The game is 40 minutes long, and not every game is going to be close. So you need guys who are going to play when the team is up 20 points or down 20 points with a minute to go. You need garbage time players. Well, Bryce Zephir, perfect for garbage time, right? And finally, you need fouls. You don't want J.J. Starling fouling out. You don't want J.J. Starling picking up his 3rd foul in the first half, right? Well, then insert Bryce Zephir, who can commit that foul for you late in the half or late in the game. Just run and commit a foul. So that's the role. We're not asking a whole lot from Bryce Zephir this upcoming season. If Syracuse is asking for Bryce Zephir to play a significant role, this team's in trouble. So I'm not freaking out right now about Bryce Zephir. I'm not. But if Adrian Autry next year, if he trots this guy out 10 minutes into the first half on opening night, well, then I'll lose it. Then you'll see me actually lose it on air. So that just about does it. We've discussed the role of each and every one of Syracuse's transfers this upcoming year. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Who do you think is going to be the most impactful transfer for Syracuse this upcoming year? Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. As far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future, well, tomorrow we'll discuss the importance level of each and every one of the transfers. Okay? The importance level. And then on Thursday, we'll discuss the roles of Syracuse's returning players for basketball and also the freshmen this upcoming season. So that's what's coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future. Now, thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. And for your second listen, you can check out the Locked On Portal Show with football recruiting expert Brian Smith, who's got the latest rumors and signings each and every day. You can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal Podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse, and I will see you all again soon.